Hey there, it's Kathleen, and I'm so excited that you found your way to this video. Um, Earlier this week, I was actually over the weekend, I was doing a 5-mile run, and I like to listen to people who inspire me to go be my best self. And one of those people is Wayne Dyer. I listen to people like Hal Elrod, Mel Robbins, Lisa Nichols, Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson. The list goes on and on. And what I like to do is find people who teach the law of attraction, and they have very specific strategies behind the law of attraction for how they became best-selling authors. And I find it really interesting that virtually every best-selling author that I follow has one strategy that has worked over and over and over for them. They either got on radio or they got on podcast shows. In the past, it used to be radio was the only game in town if you wanted a lot of visibility without having to be on camera. And now podcast shows are the way to go. And as I was listening to Wayne Dyer, he was talking about how he sold 35 million copies of his book. 35 million. Now, back in the day when his book, Your Erroneous Zones, became a #1 New York Times bestseller and stayed on that list for quite some time, what he did is he actually got in his car, he traveled with his daughter, and he would do as many as 10 or 15 radio interviews per day. That's per day. Now, can you imagine the kind of traction one would get if they were on 10 to 15 radio programs per day across the United States? Well, today, you don't have to get in your car to travel to the locations to be interviewed. Today, we have podcast shows. And people like Hal Elrod and Lisa Nichols, Mel Robbins, Tony Robbins, all of them use podcast shows to actually talk about their books. They don't overtly sell their books. They just talk about their books. They talk about what it's like to be an author. They talk about their philosophy. They share stories. And people will go to their website, they'll go to their Amazon page, and they'll buy their books. I have a client I've been working with, Lana Nelson, who has been doing a lot of podcast shows. And she said every time she's on a show, her book sales go up. Every time. Well, in the last month, she's probably done 10 or 15 shows, and she's just been out there doing an amazing job. Best part of all, she doesn't have to leave the comfort of her home. And so I talk to a lot of people who say, oh, I want to be as famous as Wayne Dyer. I want to sell as many books as Hal Elrod, as Lisa Nichols, as Mel Robbins, and yet they don't have a strategy. And the best strategy that you can use is to get on a lot of podcast shows. And yet, what happens is oftentimes people hit the wall of fear of like, well, what do I do? How do I outreach to hosts? How do I give a good interview? What do I do on follow-up? And that's the very reason I created the 100 Club. The 100 Club is a mastermind boot camp, virtual mastermind boot camp designed for up to 12 people per session. And we go for 30 days, up to 12 people per session, where we meet once a week. And every week we have strategies that you learn based on my experience of doing hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds, even thousands of interviews. I've been on both sides of the microphone, and I know what it takes to give a great interview. I know what it takes to get on shows. I know what it takes to get invited back again and again. So I created the 100 Club, and somebody said, well, how did you come up with the name 100? Well, that came to me during a run day. A lot of my ideas come to me during run days. And it came to me when I was listening to Hal Elrod share the fact that he had been on 100 shows in a very short period of time when he was promoting his first book, The Miracle Morning. And then a few days later, I was listening to Lisa Nichols, and she said, yeah, I was on 150 shows in about a 5-month period to promote one of her books. And I forget which book it was, but it became a New York Times bestseller. And all of a sudden it hit me, 100, 100. That's the key to success. If you can come up with a strategy, if you can get on 100 shows within a very short period of time when you're promoting a book, you are going to do fantastic. However, there are certain things you need to put in place in order to get on 100 shows. And that's why I created the 100 Club. I'd invite you to go ahead and click the link below. Just click the link below. It'll take you to the information page for the 100 Club. We start on June 25th. We go every Tuesday for 5 weeks. And every Tuesday, we lay a foundation. We have check-ins. There's accountability measures. The last group that went through it, every single person was successful at booking podcast shows. And these are people, some had never been on a podcast show before. One person, as a matter of fact, Laria, that you'll see her testimonial, she said, I didn't even know what a podcast show was. I had no idea. And she's going to be in our second go round because she loves the accountability measures that are in place. So if you're looking for a program where you can learn the strategies, get on lots of shows, and have accountability measures put in place, the 100 Club is for you. This is Kathleen Gage inviting you. Check out the information. And if it makes sense for you to join in the 100 Club, I'd love to have you join in. I'm looking for high performers. I'm looking for people who will take action. I'm looking for people who will show up and do the footwork. As I was out on my 5-mile run today, I was thinking, you know, I don't get the 5 miles under my belt by sitting on the couch and thinking about it. I have to think about it and then get into action. That's exactly what the 100 Club is. I encourage you, if it makes sense, join. I'd love to have you, and get ready for a great experience. Have a great day.